Hey co-stars, welcome to another episode of Generation Films. My name is British Ben and we have a Star Trek video for you today. So, when you are fighting battles in space, what's the first thing you gotta try when you're taking hits? Evasive maneuvers. And if that doesn't work, perhaps attack pattern alpha or theta or evasive pattern gamma. And if that doesn't work and you're just getting pounded, you gotta get out of there. So you try to foxtrot Oscar, but the other ship follows you. So sometimes there is the need for that special signature maneuver, one so brilliant that it takes the other ship completely by surprise, and you'll have cadets at the Academy studying it for decades. So this is 10 battle-winning Starship maneuvers in Star Trek. Number 1, the Enterprise NX-01 versus a Klingon bird of prey. So in Star Trek Enterprise, because it was a prequel, the ships of the United Earth Starfleet weren't really that powerful yet and weren't even a match for the Klingons. Even a bird of prey, a ship that was constantly getting blown up in the exact same way in the 23rd and 24th centuries, actually could overpower the Enterprise earlier on in the series. In the episode The Expanse, the Enterprise is chased by 3 Klingon birds of prey. They fly into a gas cloud called the Expanse, and one bird of prey follows them in. Now the bird of prey is diverting all of its power to its forward shields, and even the Enterprise's new photonic torpedoes are not having the desired effect. So Captain Archer knows he has to get behind the ship. They pick the darkest gas cloud they can find, and as they disappear into it, sharply bank up and do a kind of loop-the-loop, ending up behind the bird of prey. Now I'm guessing this gas cloud also interfered with the sensors, so the Klingons really had no idea where the Enterprise went. The Enterprise then emerges from the cloud behind the bird of prey and fires at the unshielded aft section, destroying the ship. Number 2, the Koramite Maneuver. So this is a maneuver from the original series, and Captain Kirk starts this episode with his shirt off, oiled up, ready to perform some kick-ass Starship maneuver. When the Enterprise is plotting star charts in a certain region of space, they encounter a large vessel commanded by an alien called Bollock. I think perhaps it's supposed to be Ballock, but every time the actors say it, it sounds like Bollock.
A signal, Captain. It's very weak. It's Ballock.
Where I'm from in England, a bollock means a testicle. So yeah, there's that. Imagine if you visited Earth. How you doing? What's your name? Bollock. Choose that yourself, did you? Yeah. What made you go for Bollock instead of penis? Alright, we're supposed to be talking about a Starship maneuver. So Bollock's ship is a lot more powerful than the Enterprise, and it shuts down the Enterprise's engines, and Bollock says he's going to kill the whole crew. Then Kirk bluffs and says that he has a substance on board called Koramite, which, if Bollock fires on the Enterprise, it'll blow up, destroying both of the ships. And Bollock kind of buys it. So he pilots a small vessel to tow the Enterprise to a nearby planet. This is where Kirk pulls out his maneuver. Since Bollock has returned control of the Enterprise's engines for some reason, Kirk orders a right-angle course to Bollock's ship and engages the impulse engines. He takes a big gamble, overheating the engines almost to the point where they're going to explode. But eventually the Enterprise breaks free and Bollock's ship appears to get damaged. And then, in a really weird turn of events, they board the ship and discover that Bollock doesn't look like this at all. It's just a doll to scare people. He actually looks like this, and he's a really friendly chap. Number 3, Battle of the Mutara Nebula. This is the definitive battle between Kirk and Khan. No, that's not Khan. Who is this? He's not even bearing his chest. What is he, some kind of pansy? Ah, that's better. So the Enterprise has minimal power and no way to fight off Khan's ship, the Reliant, under normal conditions, so they head towards the Mutara Nebula, where shields are rendered useless and other systems are interfered with, so much so that they don't even get a clear view of what is out there. The ships blindly fly around each other, on a few occasions crossing paths, and they try to manually target their weapons, often missing. But then Khan gets lucky. Coming out of nowhere, he is able to inflict significant damage against the unshielded Enterprise. I always felt sorry for this guy. The Enterprise does manage to get away, and they realize they have to change their tactics. Listen to this dialogue between Kirk and Spock.
He's intelligent, but not experienced. His pattern indicates two-dimensional thinking.
So Kirk starts playing 3D chess. He orders the Enterprise to descend 10,000 meters, and when Reliant passes by above them, the Enterprise pops back up for a surprise attack. This maneuver proves successful, taking out Khan's ship and winning the battle. Number 4, the Riker Maneuver. So before Riker became a pizza chef on some out there planet in the middle of nowhere, He was actually a pretty skilled first officer. In Star Trek Insurrection, when the Enterprise E is being chased through the Briar Patch by sonar ships, Riker orders Geordi to collect unstable Metreon gas through the Buzzard Ramscoot collectors. Riker then proceeds to access the manual steering column and pilot the ship himself, venting the gas between the Enterprise and the sonar warships. When the ships fire, the gas ignites and the sonar are destroyed. And yeah, guess what they call it?
I wouldn't be surprised if history remembers this as the Riker Maneuver.
It really makes Riker look like a boss.
Not bad for a pizza chef.
I wonder who directed that movie. Oh, Jonathan Frakes, the guy who plays Commander Riker. Never would have guessed that. Number 5, the Picard Maneuver. Ah, Picard. When he wasn't playing the flute, researching archaeology, or making speeches about human rights, he was actually a pretty skilled starship captain. Now, the Picard Maneuver is a maneuver that Captain Picard used against the Ferengi in the year 2355 at the Battle of Maxia when he was captain of the Stargazer. It also refers to Picard's habit of constantly pulling his shirt down throughout the series. You know, someone on YouTube actually compiled something like a 20-minute video of all of the times that Picard pulls his shirt down. Check it out. But today we're talking about the real Picard maneuver, the one involving a ship. Now, it involves making a very short warp jump towards an attacking vessel, so that vessel's sensors actually see two ships at the same time and get confused and end up firing on the wrong ship, the ship that's just an illusion. And then the real ship is able to unload its weapons and destroy the enemy. Picard recreates the maneuver under Ferengi mind control in the episode The Battle. Since the crew know Picard's tactics, they're able to devise a defense using the tractor beam to contain the ship and rescue Picard from mind control. Number 6, Discovery destroying the sarcophagus ship. Now, season 1 of Star Trek Discovery was a dumpster fire, but one highlight was Discovery fighting and destroying the Klingon sarcophagus ship. Discovery uses her spore drive to carry out micro jumps and map out the cloaked Klingon ship, which has sensors on board placed there by Starfleet. Now, how this actually works, like the rest of the plot of Star Trek Discovery, is pretty complex. I mean, they don't throw you a bone with a simple automobile metaphor.
Well, the thing's got to have a tailpipe.
Literally, they probably could have saved all that trouble just by scanning for an exhaust. But anyway, after Discovery has carried out over 100 micro jumps, they put all that data into the computer, and it is able to create a model of exactly where the sarcophagus ship is, and they open fire. Number 7, Defiant destroys orbital weapons. So the Federation, the Romulans, and the Klingons are fighting a harsh battle against orbital weapons placements in the Chintuka system, and they are getting trashed. These weapons are pretty strong, and they are all drawing their power from a power generation matrix on an asteroid. At first, Defiant decides to attack it, but it's no use. Then they come up with a plan to trick the weapons platforms into thinking that their power source is an enemy ship.
We can use our deflector array to imprint a Federation warp signature on the generator's energy matrix.
So they try just that. Defiant maneuvers past enemy fire and flies past the asteroid, emitting the Federation warp signature, and the weapons platforms really start firing, destroying their power source. Number 8, Delta Flyer in an interstellar starship race. So the Delta Flyer, Tom Paris's pet project, gets entered into a starship race between several species who are trying to maintain peace through friendly competition. And I have to stress friendly competition because some of the competitors fly pretty dirty. This gives B'Elanna Torres the idea to reverse the polarity of the deflector to repel the shields of the two ships in front of them to create space to pass, and she combines this tactic with increased power to the maneuvering thrusters, and the flyer is able to charge into first place. Now, there's more to this story. Tom and B'Elanna are having some relationship problems, and some of the other competitors sabotage each other's ships, so in the end the Delta Flyer doesn't win, but this maneuver is how Delta Flyer gets into first place before everything hits the fan and they end up almost dying. Moving on. Number 9. Voyager destroys the Borg sphere from within. In the final episode of Star Trek Voyager Endgame, the ship uses a unique way to get home to the Alpha Quadrant. They use the Borg's own network of transwarp conduits, but they're chased by a Borg sphere. Janeway allows Voyager to be captured by the sphere, and as the sphere exits the conduit, she orders Tuvok to fire one transphasic torpedo from within to destroy the sphere, and Voyager then emerges from the explosion. Now this is a really boss move, don't get me wrong, but I always found it a little bit ridiculous that Voyager itself doesn't get destroyed by the force of the explosion. I mean, I guess they did have that armor from the future to protect them. Alright guys, now it's the moment you've been waiting for, our 10th and final battle-winning Starship maneuver. Number 10, the Enterprise rams the Scimitar. Now I've saved this one till last for a reason, and that reason is that it is one of the most ballsy moves we've ever seen on screen in Star Trek. So after the Enterprise E is crippled by the Scimitar at the Battle of Basin Rift in Star Trek Nemesis, they are left as sitting ducks with no weapons to speak of. But Captain Picard calmly delivers a one-liner and then cuts Shinzon off.
I don't think I ever told you about my first Academy evaluation. In particular, I was thought to be extremely overconfident.
He then proceeds to ram the Scimitar with the saucer section of the Enterprise, disabling the ship. The only step now is to send a boarding party over and end the battle once and for all. Alright guys, those are our 10 battle-ending Starship maneuvers from Star Trek. If you think of any more cool ones, please leave them in the comments below. Please subscribe for more videos on Star Trek, Stargate, Star Wars. You know, to be honest, anything with Star in the name, we cover it. So please subscribe if you're new. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.